We are back. New York City baseball, past, present, and future. The very mobile Marty Rose is with us. How you doing, Mert? In the car, traveling along with
doing
Bacon.
Fine. Cruising down the highway in Virginia.
Okay, that's beautiful country. I've been
just south of Richmond. Yeah.
Beautiful trees. Great. You got that old Southern twang going, Mert.
Oh yeah, sure I think.
Right. 68 years in New York and 20 minutes in the South.
Yeah, and not yet. Haven't picked it up yet.
While. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
All right, and Robert Deininger from New Jersey, you're with us on the Yankee side. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Good. It's been a good week for everything, including baseball on the Mets side. We'll get to the Mets first with Marty because he's cruising along. I don't know how long we're going to have you in terms of your connection. So let's get as much in as we possibly can.
Okay.
Robert, if you'll be patient.
Yeah.
I want to know from you, Mert, if you saw, and it was a reputable source about the possibility they brought up the name of Davy Johnson if Terry Collins were to be replaced. Davy Johnson coming in.
I definitely have not heard that. No. No.
I read that, and I browse the internet so much.
He must be about 75 or 80 by now. I mean,
yeah, well, 75. But they, who was the Marlins manager a couple of years ago? An old guy as well.
Yeah, he didn't last very long either. I have not heard that. I haven't heard any names being bandied about for that job.
Right.
I'm sure that Collins is going to finish out the year. I don't think there's any question about that. But
really
next year.
Point.
Unless they promote
him he gets up in the morning. I saw him on the interview after Cabrera just went to the press and just goes, bam, 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 I don't want to be here, and this, that, and the other thing, taking no responsibility for it.
Well, that was about him getting short notice about playing second base that night. He felt he didn't have enough notice and he didn't have enough time to prepare. Although he had played second base over 200 times in his career. So,
I didn't realize that. I did not realize that, and I was going to ask, what happened to the old time? You break in a double play combination in spring training. It takes years of working together, the old Aparicio Fox, Richardson Kubek, that kind of thing. Now they're switching guys around, and I was talking to Golenbach on his show the other day, and we, Blumpkin and I, the three of us agreed that could be the switching positions and what do they call it when you the shifts going on could be contributing to the injuries because guys are getting balls at different angles that if you're playing like short field, you're getting to balls at angles that nobody is used to getting to. Different arm strengths, different angles you're throwing to the base. That's something that could be contributing to injuries. And I would not have blamed him for just being asked, here you go, now you're a second baseman. unless what you say is true, and I know it is now. He's played a couple of hundred games at second base. It's not like, and I think it's a masterful idea because Reyes is a much better shortstop this year than Cabrera is. And
no doubt about it. Mm-hmm.
And Reyes is, I don't know who's going to play third. T.J. Rivera, I guess.
Well, Rivera, I think they've seen enough. I think they've seen enough of Rivera at third. I don't think he could play there. I think, for now, they're probably going to go with Flores there. And they've been playing Flores at first against some tough lefties and sitting down Duda. But T.J. Rivera is not a good fielder at all, especially at third. He can't make the throw across the field. He's a decent hitter, and so's Flores. He's a good hitter. But
Flores has no first-step quickness.
No, and both of them are lacking on. Yeah, both of them are lacking on defense. I don't know who's going to play third next year. That's a big question mark. They might have to trade for somebody, but it seems like a given that Dominic Smith is going to be at first and Rosario is going to be at short. So I assume that what's his face is going to play second, Flores, unless they pick up somebody else. But they're definitely going to need somebody for third base.
The first day Cabrera comes in as a second baseman, he made 2 or 3 sparkling plays.
He did. He played very well there, but his contract is up at the end of this year. There's a team option apparently, and that's one of the things he was complaining about the other day. He says, "Well, you want me to switch to second base? Pick up my option for next year." But I don't think they're going to do that. Why would they? If they're going to go with the kid at first and the kid at short, they may as well go
rebuilding.
They may as well go younger at second and not pay him $8 million. So.
Right. Well, there is talk of packaging Reed and Bruce and seeing if you could really build up the farm system, which is, I don't know what to say. We've been thinking about prospects coming up all year, and when you have to go to the minors to pick up for Pill and all these guys, it doesn't look good. That needs building up. And somebody suggested the idea. First of all, Familia's going to be back next year. You package those two who and maybe sign Bruce back as a free agent in much the same way the Yankees did with Chapman. They picked up a bunch of prospects. And while we're at it, one of the most effective relievers, speaking of all of these trades and picking up guys and bringing them back, Miller, who the Yankees got rid of, who's pitching in Cleveland, he could be among the 5 best relief pitchers in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think when we look back upon that trade, Robert, is there a chance that they might have even given up too much for, because everybody's been assuming that they restocked the farm system, that everything is going to be hunky-dory, but you're betting on the come with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And Miller, the established veteran, wouldn't it be nice to have him back in that Yankee bullpen right now?
He would have helped the last 12 games, that's for sure.
Yeah, what do you attribute this falling off to? No one is really excluded. Up and down games. Tanaka having a good game here. Good name. Pineda got bombed again the other day. pitcher on my fantasy team. What do you attribute any of this? Who's going to take responsibility? Could it be the pitching coach?
I would say so. I mean, when Sabathia, before he went on the DL, he was the stopper. He was 6-0 following a loss. And these last 12 games, the starter's ERA is 5.63, the bullpen 4.98. I think that injury to Sabathia really hurt him because it made him use the bullpen up a little bit too much and tired him out, I think. I still think the bullpen will be okay. It's the starter's inconsistency right now that's concerning me, especially with Pineda. In his last 5 starts, 3 of the games, he's given up 5 runs or more. It seems like he's reverting back to last year's Pineda where he was just inconsistent throughout the season.
I don't know what to attribute that to. I don't know what you're thinking. Pitching coach Rothschild, is he in any danger? Has there been talk about that? Does that come up in the
I've heard a little chatter, but not. I think we have to see how the season goes. This has been a rough 2 weeks for the Yankees, or at least since June 12th. They were 38-23. And since then, they've 40-33, 2 for 10 in their last 12 games.
What do you say? Hey, let's keep it positive, though. and before we do that, I'm going to ask you a question I was thinking about the ERA of the Yankees while we're talking. With Sanchez healthy, can you see a definite drop-off in pitching effectiveness with him in there? Could that have...
I mean, yes and no. There's games where he catches and they do great, and I just think they've just been inconsistent. You got a couple of young guys pitching, and the veterans just haven't stepped up like you hoped they would.
Okay.
And Tanaka's been the shot.
On the positive side, and I'm going to try to get more positive stuff in for both teams on the show, because it almost seems like we're knocking them. You got to say Judge is, and say the Judge, Sanchez, Halladay lineup, Hicks coming back. Got to find a place for him.
Yeah, they've heard of him on the DL.
Right. What is
and Holiday tonight scratched from the game again. He's not available. I keep hearing allergic reaction, and Girardi keeps saying it's a fatigue issue, and it's concerning because I don't know what to make of it. I keep hearing allergic reaction, but then the manager's saying it's a fatigue issue, and he's not available, and it's a little worrisome because Holiday's an important bat.
Allergic reaction to what? Allergic reaction to what?
That's the thing. They haven't said. The announcers talk about an allergic reaction, but they don't mention from what. And Girardi just keeps saying it's a fatigue issue.
Okay.
And so that's why I find it concerning. No one's really explaining what it is.
Does he play one day and not play the next? Does he get tired?
Yeah, that's happened a couple times where he's missed a game, but he was back the next day. But now this is 2 days in a row, and no one's really going into depth about what it really is.
Right. Well, I know the Mets aren't famous for full disclosure, are they, Marty?
Not by a long shot. Yeah.
2 weeks later, we find out, you remember 2 weeks ago when this happened, that happened? Well, the guy had a pulled muscle here, pulled muscle there, whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to the Mets a little bit. Have to mention my absolute. I was apoplectic when they promoted Tebow from short A to. You're filling a position at Port St. Lucie that. You've given a guy games who was hitting 223 in short A in order to improve the attendance. You gave him, you gave the Short Eight franchise Tebow for half the year. Now you're going to give the Strong Eight, the High A franchise, Port St. Lucie, Tebow, all just to put butts in the seat to make it politically correct so you could do business with these people. And at the same time, you take away X number of games from somebody who's coming up, who's well-deserving of the shot of playing and maybe next year going on to AA instead of being held back by this guy, and he'll be cut at the end of the year, and then the kid gets to play, that kind of thing. That's disgraceful. I'm so happy I have this podcast to vent. We were going back and forth earlier in the day about how crazy this is.
Yeah, well, that has to be the only reason. That is the only reason.
The only reason.
And because
he's going to draw up.
Yeah, well, let's face it,
Ralph. His religious affiliation and his former football team.
Who wants to sit in the sun in Florida in the middle of the summer to watch a baseball game?
Well, they have night games. It's a night game.
I know, but still, I mean, it doesn't get dark till 8:30. I mean, it's still sunny out, and but that there is no other reason. He's hitting 220, and he struck out like 69 times and 220 at bats. It's absurd, really.
It's absolutely a business decision that affects the quality of the game, and if not right now, 3 years from now, we'll see who develops, who was held back. You probably couldn't quantify it. You'd never be able to do it. Just like you couldn't quantify it, who lost time when Michael Jordan played baseball.
Yeah.
Difference was this: Michael Jordan was a pretty good AA baseball player. He, for a guy with no experience whatsoever, hit 245, was very, very fast, and I don't know. There are more similarities than differences. I can't say either one is tragic for the game or for the Mets situation, this, that, and the other thing, but pure out and out. But it's not going to help. It's certainly not going to help the Mets' development. And to do this makes it almost a three-ring circus. People are going to come in with no interest in seeing a baseball game, no interest in saying, well, who's a prospect, who's not a prospect. That's what it's about. Follow this team. No, you got a guy coming in, and you get a bunch of. I'm not saying they're crazy folks coming down just to see.
Not your everyday baseball fans.
Let's put it that way. Whatever their belief system is, it's not your everyday baseball fan. So I had to blow that off on the Mets and my disappointments. Also, as Mert and I were talking about over this past week, really can't blame, with all the injuries, you really can't say, well, this was a failed season. Nothing came through. The pitchers didn't come through like this. They didn't come through because of injuries. And we had an abundance. And one other thing, I think Walker's back injury, like any other injury, one injury causes something else. You have a bad knee, your left knee is bad, you're apt to develop some ankle problems in your right ankle just because you're trying to compensate. And Walker,
I think he pulled a hammy. Yeah.
But I don't know how much of that has to do with his inability to stretch because of his back. All these injuries kind of mount up after a while, and he's getting to the point where he's brittle. I don't know how long. Hammies can take a long time. It could be 6 weeks with a hammy.
Yeah, well, doesn't matter anyway, Ralph. I mean, he's gone after this year.
No, but he could have been one of the people that we could have packaged.
Right, that's true. That's true. That's true.
From that standpoint.
Very true. Well, we do have one. Yeah. I was going to say we do have one All-Star. You know who our one All-Star is?
Let me think about that for a second.
Shouldn't take
All-Star would be Bruce.
Well, he's way down in the voting. I don't know if he's going to get put on.
Voting notwithstanding, that's what makes that. That's another thing.
I'm just thinking. Yeah, I'm just thinking DeGrom.
Yes, absolutely. Especially these last 4 games.
Yeah, I got a story to relate.
Please.
That was publicized in New York anyway. That one game that he was pitching on, I guess it was Fox or MLB, one of those national broadcasts. John Smoltz was talking about DeGrom, and somebody told him about it. So he got a hold of John Smoltz's phone number, and he sent him a text about what he was talking about and asked him, and they talked for a while, and Smoltz told him that instead of doing one bullpen before your start or in between starts, do 2 bullpens, maybe shorter, and that way you will be going through your delivery and all that more often and keep it, be able to duplicate it, easier when you're doing it more often, more days during the week. Yeah, and so he said he's done that the last couple of weeks. Now, I don't know if the result is because of that, but it certainly hasn't hurt. Certainly has not hurt. So.
No, he's been terrific. He will be an all-star for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And there's also been talk that they may have to, and the quote is, reset their pitching, their 5-man rotation at the end of the year. And I think basically that means, the way I see it, if Syndergaard comes back the way he was, and there's no real reason to believe that he won't, that you take DeGrom and Syndergaard, and you just start building around them. I think you might have to pull the string on Harvey. I think that's what they're saying. Matz, who is obviously one of my favorites, Long Island kid. He's brittle as a fucker. Excuse my language.
Yep. He's hurt all the time. No question.
And that is because he's as talented as any of them. And I would say the third guy to keep would have to be Zach Wheeler, because even though he's on the DL now, he's been making strides, and he's going to have a limited inning thing going for the rest of this year. And I think next year he can come back very, very strong.
Yeah, I think so.
Any talk of Harvey that you hear
Nothing.
of his progression or lack thereof?
No.
The silence is kind of deafening in a way, if you will.
Yeah, well, I think at this point maybe they feel like when he does come back, what are you going to get anyway? You're going to get the guy from earlier in this year? I mean, what's the big deal? He hasn't been good.
Right.
So
he's not going to look like he's going to be coming back and helping him.
Yeah, there's been like no talk.
You got to give kudos to Montero, who had a great start the other day.
He did.
And that's what we've been looking for. And hopefully with these guys coming back, he can go to the bullpen and help strengthen that.
Yeah.
And because, last year I can remember too, not as bad as this, but we were kind of writing them off for a long time, and they went on and made the playoffs. So the nails aren't completely in the coffin, but there's another, how many days till the trade deadline? We're getting to that
End of
point.
July, right? So you got another month and change, 5 weeks maybe.
Yeah. So that'll be a telltale sign. It'd be nice if they could do some turning around. Has Cecchini, another name for me to not pronounce properly.
Yeah, Cecchini.
104, Cecchini. 104 in a row, breaking an all-time record set by Bob Murphy. And, Mert, it's like I woke up in a time machine. He's become an icon, Bob Murphy.
Yeah, I know. Personally, I didn't think he was that great, but I guess he was there so long that, people grew up with him, and he had a lot of good memories.
It was tough for us because we had such great announcers from New York. The Rick Harbors, the Mel Allens, the Sudos, all these guys. And now comes three guys that Kiner was just the malaprop guy of all time right from the start.
I'd like to wish all the fathers out there a happy birthday on Father's Day, right? I mean,
Yeah, typical Kiner. Another guy who's actually really become beloved as well. Lindsay was a strange one. He didn't. It was like he was above it all on some way.
Well, he was a national TV star. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
He did college football nationally, and he was, he was bigger than the other two guys. He was more of a pro than the other two guys. So.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. Good memories.
Yep.
Robert, anything with the Yankees you look forward to coming up this week?
Well, they got 4 games with Chicago, and I'm hoping they can at least win this series or at least split it at worst. But Judge walked tonight, so he's reached base now in 28 straight games. And coming in today, he leads the American League in batting average, home runs, RBIs. I mean, he just continues to impress me every time I watch the Yankees play. But I'm just hoping their starting pitching can just be a little bit more consistent coming up.
There was talk of Judge eventually moving to first. Is that a possibility?
Oh, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I don't think they're going to mess with him right now. And I'm glad they finally got rid of Carter and brought up Boston. But we'll see how that works out.
Will Austin be playing every day?
Yeah, he's in the lineup again tonight, batting 5th. And they had to bring Ellsbury back up, or they activated Ellsbury today after 2 games in the minors. But they're a little beat up. Castro has been playing with a wrist injury or a wrist that's been bothering him for the past month. Headley's back's been bothering him. He missed 2 games this past week. And Hicks just went on the DL, and you got Holiday who has a fatigue issue. So a little worrisome, but I'm hoping that the pitching can come around because they're still averaging about 4.2 runs a game in their last 10, 12 games.
Yeah, well, let's hope for that.
Guys, I got to drop off for a minute. I got to drop off now. I'll speak to you next week.
Beautiful, Mert. Thank you for being here. Megan, thanks for listening.
Take it easy.
Okay, bye.
All right. Robert, we're going to end it too, unless you have anything else you'd like to talk about, any memories you'd like to share, anything at all, Robert.
Well, you mentioned when we were talking about Sanchez before, with how he catches a game, and I was just remembering Posada, Jorge. They kept him behind Girardi for his first 2-3 seasons in the majors to get used to calling games and figuring out what it takes to be an everyday catcher in the major leagues. I'm wondering if that's the case with Sanchez. It's just going to take him a while, maybe a season or two to understand how to really call a game in the major leagues.
And isn't that typical of baseball, the way it's changed, that don't give players a chance to develop and to sit and watch and learn and slowly break in, and that all over, not just with the Yankees, not just with the Mets. They rush guys. I guess it's just a matter of wanting to get quick buck. A lot of it is that they only have the guys for X number of years, and then they have to make a decision as to whether or not to put big bucks into them, arbitration, free agency. They want to see as much as they can.
Yeah.
And just because of the way the system is set up, I think that hurts. There's always something hurting the overall game, and it's based on money. And it's
I remember Don Mattingly. When he first came up, he was playing third base, left field, right. I mean, it took them, before they finally stuck him at first.
This is kind of a bad example, but when Mantle came up in '51, DiMaggio was still there. He was in center, and they eased him. He's playing right, and spent some time in the minors during the year, came back, and that was Mantle, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Another guy, McCovey, came up with a bang, slumped. They sent him back to the minors and gave him a little more seasoning, and he came back. I'll give you an example. The guy with the Cubs just got sent down with last year's World Series.
Schwarber, right?
Yeah, Schwarber just got sent down to the minors. Some guys come back, learn from it, come back stronger, look at it as a challenge. Some guys go down to the minors and they just can't take it. They can't take the blow to their ego.
Yeah.
They can't adjust to the change. Why were you sent down? How do I get my stroke back? How do I get to adjust? Cream rises to the top, Robert.
And that's like Bernie Williams. I remember he was battling Gerald Williams for the center field position, and when Bernie played, they had him batting ninth. And I don't know if it was the bench coach or the hitting coach that told them there are no more spots after number 9. And it basically, Bernie, I remember in an interview, said that's what really pushed him, was the fact that, they were telling him, you got to hit better, start playing better, or your chance is over.
Right. And some guys just get one chance and one chance only. You never know, given the situation of the ball club, who else is you're competing with, this, that, and the other thing. You can be gone and forgotten, and in 5 years, you're a memory. That's it. That's all. So I can give you another example of guys who have started off. Mike Schmidt, hit in an entire season, hit 198 in his rookie year.
No kidding.
And that's
I know that.
198 when the Mendoza line meant something in terms of guys. Now you see guys hitting in the 100s. That Reyes was in the 100s and kept playing with the Mets for a long time. Finally got over 200. Congratulations, we'll have a block party for you, Jose. Giving us quite a year there, big guy.
Well, that's like Chris Carter was batting 204.
Yeah. Hit 41 home runs last year. You pretty much called that. He wasn't going to get enough playing time to be.
No.
Guys with big long strokes have to play every day.
Yeah.
To keep in tune. There's so many holes in their swing, and it's not just guys with big long strokes. A lot of guys can't play on 2 or 3 times a week.
No, and Yankees right now, they got a problem at first base as far as depth, because if Austin goes down, they'd have to play Roma in there. And Greg Bird is just now taking batting practice with AAA. He's not even ready to get back in game action yet. And if Holliday's not feeling his best, Joe's not going to put him out in the field at all. So the Yankees got to stay healthy.
You can have Duda. We'll take Chapman. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there, Robert. And say no. Don't be afraid to say no to me.
No. And Girardi, I missed Saturday's game, but it was 4-1 going into the top of the ninth, and he put Tyler Clippard in. I don't know why he did that in a 3-run game. Clippard has you could see when he comes out to pitch, his confidence is rattled.
Yeah, we had him with the Mets for a while. That was no fun.
Yeah, his changeup's just is not working, and he said in an interview.
But with relief pitchers. From year to year, there is absolutely no way to predict who's going to go where, with few exceptions. Jansen is great with the Dodgers. You can depend on him every night. I thought Cam Bedrosian was coming along really well and got hurt. Of course, Familia is screwed up. This, that, and the other thing, and then got hurt. But even Reed, who was so good last year, struggled for so long, has now come back to where he's decent enough that you could almost start depending on him. And like we were talking, in 5 more weeks, we'll be packaging him anyway, and it'll be same time next year for the New York Mets. But miracles do happen. Like we were saying earlier, last year they were down and out and came back and made the playoffs to surprise us. They better start quickly, and we better hope that Washington's last lousy bullpen really comes and bites them in the ass. They picked up K-Rod to show you how bad that their bullpen is and how sad it is that this wasn't the year that we jumped on them because of their the Mets, because of their bad bullpen. K-Rod, who was doing horribly in Detroit, who needs bullpen, gets picked up, and that shows you a definite weak link from that standpoint. So we shall see, Robert.
And Tampa Bay traded from the Marlins shortstop, I guess, today too. The Tampa Bay Rays got the Marlins shortstop.
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Supposedly he's really good defensively.
Is just not coming back for them? Should have asked Peter Golenbach that yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the Yankees have allowed everyone to get in striking distance. Baltimore, with how bad they've been this past month, they're only 4 games out. Tampa's 2.5 out. Toronto's 5 out.
Whoa.
And the Yankees and Boston, of course, are tied.
That's 5 teams in there. That could be the best race in baseball, for sure.
I mean, the Yankees can contend with all of them. It's just their pitching's gotta be better. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah, but then again, you could not have expected Judge to be this terrific.
Oh. No, I thought maybe 250, 25 homers. I did not see this kind of impact this or this kind of production.
What
it's
gets
impressive.
me most is cutting down on his strikeouts. Impressive.
Yeah, and he bats so far off the plate that, and he's done such a good job of laying off the pitch off the plate and down and away that the pitchers haven't found a weakness because he's been very disciplined at what he'll swing at. And with a guy that stands that far off the plate, you can't pitch him in. And if he's not swinging anything outside and off the plate, he's a tough out. It seems like, and the announcers say this all the time, it's like he's always in a 3-2 count. He does a great job of just working the count and waiting for his pitch.
And everybody likes the guy, like you were saying a couple of weeks ago. He's got that kind of magical personality.
Yeah.
Wherever he goes.
Yeah, I mean, him and Teray is the little guy, the utility player. It's funny watching those two interact in the dugout every time Judge comes in after hitting a home run. Someone helps hold them up so they can high five.
I'm trying to think. The little guy reminds me of a guy before your time, Albie Pearson, and he played with somebody. I think it was on Washington. And it was the same kind of picture, two teammates getting along. One guy was about 6'8". I don't remember if it was Roy Sievers, that posed with him, but famous pose of Judge and he together reminded me of that. Baseball's all memories, Robert.
Yeah.
But we try to keep the future in mind. Anybody on the farm system with the Yankees that you can go to that's making a quick advance through the system? We told you from the Mets standpoint, Tebow's our guy.
They did a poll of GMs, and all the GMs say Dustin Fowler, their center fielder down there. If they're going to promote someone, he should be the first one to go. It's not even close. I mean, from the last time I saw his stats was like 3 weeks ago, but he's producing down there. And Tyler Wade too, the utility player they have. It should be interesting to see what happens in the second half of the season.
You still might end up missing Miller in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, having 7th, 8th, and 9th innings secure was nice. You know, they proved to be a little bit of a problem this year.
They took that for granted a little bit. But you can't, I mean, it's too early to count them out. Let's put it this way. They're far ahead of where you thought they'd be at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even expect them to contend this year. I was expecting a complete youth movement and dealing with growing pains. But it's been a nice little surprise.
Yeah. And they may yet again have, because of their guys coming up, like Fowler, they may yet again be able to package some guys at the trade deadline.
And they have a pitcher down there, Chance Adams, who has just been pitching lights out since he got promoted to AAA. And Montgomery, I think, only had 10 starts in AAA before they brought him up. And Adams has pitched far better than he did. And he's already, I think, had 9 starts at AAA. So they got some guys that are making some noise down there.
Future looms bright.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm wearing my Yankee cap for you today. Tell Marty. Okay, I have one old Yankee cap that I wear too, and 34 Met caps.
No kidding.
All right, Robert. Thank you, sir. This has been fun. I enjoy it. We'll do it at the same time next week. And regards to your mom, my only fan.
I'll tell her.
Tally makes soap, by the way. Tally makes natural soap, glycerin. Enjoy your day.
You too, Ralph.
Everybody, I really like this, Robert. I like having you on the show.
I enjoy it.
Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Keep on keeping on, everybody. Adios.